Draghi, boa tarde a você, boa tarde a todos. Olha, hoje o campus da Universidade de Colômbia está fechado. Vocês podem ver ali pela tela, o pessoal está fazendo fila para ver se a sua credencial deixa entrar ou não. Só os estudantes que moram nos dormitórios ou funcionários essenciais estão entrando. Isso porque o prazo para retirar o protesto, o acampamento, acabou ontem às 2 horas da tarde, horário aqui de Nova York, e aí a universidade começou a suspender os estudantes. E aí na madrugada, eles invadiram esse prédio aqui que o Tigre está mostrando, o Hamilton Hall. Muita atenção aqui dentro e fora. Eles, os manifestantes, pedem que a Rússia pare de investir em empresas e instituições que lucram com a guerra em Gaza. E pedem também mais transparência em relação às finanças da Colômbia. Por outro lado, mais de 1000 estudantes judeus mandaram uma carta ontem para a reitoria pedindo liberdade de ir e vir com segurança. Eles reclamam de alguns discursos antissemitas de alguns desses manifestantes. Aqui fora também bastante tensão entre alguns estudantes e os moradores dessa região. Agora há pouco, uma das líderes desse protesto, ela chegou aqui para entrar na universidade. Ela inclusive faz parte do grupo que negocia com a reitoria. E ela não conseguiu, foi barrada, não conseguiu entrar no campus da Universidade de Colômbia. Ela contou para os jornalistas que nesse momento não está acontecendo nenhuma negociação e que os estudantes pretendem continuar sim o protesto. Hoje a imprensa não vai poder entrar aqui nesse campus. A Casa Branca também se pronunciou, disse que essa situação é injusta para os estudantes que pagaram para ter uma educação e não estão tendo aulas. Os protestos, vamos lembrar, começaram aqui no dia 17 de abril e depois se espalharam pelo país todo. Quase 1000 pessoas presas em mais de 20 universidades do país. Mas vamos voltar um pouquinho no tempo, vamos ver então o que aconteceu na noite de hoje quando esses estudantes invadiram Hamilton Hall, na reportagem dos Marmanac. Pô, não saía? Hamilton Hall. Sim. Obrigada. Vai ligar. Tá, gente, vambora.
Excuse me.
And then Mark Nibby's
Yeah, I watched the senior, the guy, and he had something around the foot. First is that just I spiked for
so they allow media access that was done, like people like we're all allowed in, and I think today because like so recently they don't want a small crowd to that's what I was, and I know CNN's going in there on behalf of their work, so I just so at least that way we have it moving over to them right away. I don't know I
yeah.
I don't know.
We don't have a SAT truck.
So is it just go like
Who knows what we're going to see? I mean, this is being coordinated from the university, not from whoever's in that building. So, I mean, do they let us roam? No.
it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I think let them do it. They'll negotiate having a sound guy and a producer with them. They'll have all their equipment with them. Right? Let them just lay sticks down and just give us that inside feed so that we can go to lunch. Figuratively speaking, we don't actually go to lunch. Lunch is for like actual humans. Yeah. What did you do on Sunday or Saturday? Well, now we have to go to lunch. We gotta take you to lunch. Talking to an Italian man. Yeah. We forget about lunch. We lost the whole day. The day didn't even happen. If I had to choose between lunch or dinner, I would do dinner every time. But I do it a little bit earlier so I can go for a walk out. That's the key for me. After dinner, plus it does. Helps you digest, you go to sleep. Yeah.
Evening stroll.
The old timers had it right. They always, when I was growing up, they were like, you always have to go for a walk after you eat dinner. You'll live longer. It's true. Those old fucks, they live forever. They're 95, all that. It's all because of the walking. It's a nice city to walk in. If you were living in Chicago, maybe not so much. That's not a walk. All the more reason to live in Europe, so every city's a walk.
Deixa eu ver com a Larissa se ela não quer pegar esse lugar. Larissa, quer pegar o lugar aqui? Oi? Não sabe. Obrigada.
Yeah. No, I will walk.
You want to walk? I'll sit here. I'll stay here. I
Back of my head anyway.
Alter, ich mache mir keine Sorgen, dass mich
Yeah, that's so this is better. Like I think that's what I prefer. I was doing. We all complain. It wasn't perfect. We do complain. But I was still doing. So I love, but I love when I get to the network stuff. I get to the bankery, nice stuff, which I've never given before. But they never want to. You work with June once this. Yes, Bradley Black. He's a great guy. We work together every day. Nice. And yeah. So I've only met him when he's. She's lovely. He's the same role as me. ります。見よう見よう。
No, I didn't see it.
Oh my God, dude, it's the third window. So 1, 2, third on the right.
Thanks,
It's
buddy.
unbelievable. That's how they broke in. Isn't it?
Where, kiddo?
He's gonna put this in his arms
What?
behind you. They're gonna put it in the hand. Jamie, she thought it's up there now too.
Alrighty.
Okay.
I
So
see.
this is broken
I see.
behind there.
What's that?
You're gonna see, my friend. Just don't raise up. Thank you.
Want to try from the other side?
Do me a favor.
Huh? It's a better shot. Okay. It's better on
Do me a
this side.
favor. Write down later to David Albritton, or you call him. He wants to. He's doing this. There. He's the cop.
There we go. Hey, Dave, it's Jeff with Jamie. We'll call you later. We're on campus right now. Okay. All right, thanks. Bye. Done.
Thank you, bud. Jeff,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna try this.
Yeah.
Are they getting food? Are they getting food? Mary, they getting food?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Jeff. Just in case they send the food up. I'm sorry. You got it.
Good?
The dude who yelled at you? Is it 4 yet?
Are we here till 4?
Yeah. Don't overload it, they'll never make it up. It's gonna tilt, watch.
Woo! Go Brown!
What did she say? Who?
Something about Brown divested from
Oh,
Israel.
yeah, screw Brown.
Wait, so like the university committed to it?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Committed to what? To that investment.
What?
Wait, can we say that one more time for our comrades inside?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Administration has conceded to students' demand that the corporation vote on divestment after years of tireless pressure from student bodies.
Look at that! Let's go!
We were all so like into what we were saying.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Just like taking over your memory.
Oh my god, this is what you said. Brown has committed to that.
Reacting to the news that Brown has divested
Yes,
from
we
Israel.
are. Yes, we are. Inshallah. Yeah. What's inshallah? Dios solamente.
I don't think anything. But you know what?
What?
She's
I'm neutral.
That's the
right answer. That is exactly right answer. Yeah.
I can do that. Still.
We're waiting for the lift, are we?
I don't know if it's happening. I might have just set it up for you.
I haven't seen them once. They're
future.
Been here a few hours. So that's okay. Maybe now. That might be a good question. No. Yeah.
Are you guys gonna go over the encampment? Because we're in the same group.
Yeah, where?
Okay. Yeah, because I need to get there too. But
Have you heard anything from Professor?
We're not here for that.
I mean, for sound, like to get sound. Right.
I mean, oh
I'm
yeah,
checking
that
it.
sound.
Yeah.
That sound, yeah.
But I
It's
can
pool. What?
Like, you never use anything.
Nah, pool doesn't. You can't do that. with pool. You know?
I mean, if they provide it.
Yeah, you can't go in. Are you pool as well for the locals? So 2 pools for the locals?
Oh, it's going to be outside.
What is it outside? Mayor, I think that they might have just set that up for later on. I don't know what they're... You want to keep an eye and I'll go around and get some more shit?
Let's get a broader sense of
Oh, it was like on this side.
Well, it's pressed too, so it's kind of hard.
Okay.
But I got you the wides before. Thank you, bud.
Yes, remember that.
It's like, it's so sunny, and then in the shade I can't do it, and then...
Are you doing, are you living on campus? Are you living on campus?
No. What? I came in before they banned people. They only banned students who don't live here after like 7 or 8. I was here at 6.
Oh,
Okay,
you
we got
genius,
you.
girl. You genius lady.
No, I got in at 6 a.m.
There's no shortage of lodgings.
Right. Yeah. Natasha's been here all night. You've been here all night. Yeah. Can't leave and come back.
your jacket in the sleeve of my jacket.
Yeah, just put it on the cart. Yeah. Okay. Look, I shut the hell out of it. We're just waiting, I guess. There's nothing else I can really make up and shoot anymore. Look at
and
you.
then, like, just like the sort of sloppiness of the signs that are in class.
The grandeur.
May not have gone to Columbia, but I'm not stupid.
Is it for you?
Nothing got an hour. Yeah, like right where she is.
I did stuff like that already. But because it's you, I will get the grandeur shot for you.
Nice.
Look at how grand that is. I don't think people care about that today. They care about behind this. But there's a hell of a lot of student press here and nobody else. What's this idiot doing? who?
One of the girls. The girl out there walking on the ramp.
Okay, what did she say to you?
Said we don't want anybody shooting behind the car. We need security. We have to get security. No one shoot behind the car.
Yeah, well,
See the broken glass?
too late.
Like, then close the car. You
I was wondering what that was.
don't want us to show your handiwork?
I don't even know what my phone is.
I got it.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. You spoke to. Mary's the best. There is somebody there.
Where? Okay.
See over Hamilton's head? You know what's amazing? And they don't know that.
Going for the grand jury.
By the Columbia misinformation machine. We've seen them repeatedly lie to press, and we want to ensure that you have the facts from us as best as we're able to share them. So I'm going to begin by just repeating the information shared in the press release last night, and then I can share a few updates that have taken place since then. I'm not giving my name. A number of students have received threats to their families who have participated in press, so I'm choosing to remain anonymous for now.
You're a student.
I'm a student here at Columbia, yes. So I'm going to reshare the press release that went out last night shortly over the takeover of Hind Hall, and then I will also share a few updates that have transpired since then, and we can do like a couple of questions, very brief Q&A period, but again, I'm not representing the people who are participating in the autonomous action, so I can do my best, but that's it. All right. After 206 days of genocide and over 34,000 Palestinian martyrs, Columbia community members took back Hamilton Hall just after midnight. An autonomous group reclaimed Hind Hall, previously known as Hamilton Hall, in honor of Hind Rajab, a Gazan martyr murdered at the hands of the genocidal Israeli state at the age of just 6 years old. This escalation represents the next generation of the 1968, 1985, and 1992 student movements, which Columbia once repressed yet celebrates today. Protesters have voiced their intention to remain at Hind Hall until Columbia concedes to Quad's 3 demands, which are divestment, financial transparency, and amnesty. Resistance is justified in the movement for liberation. Liberators acting in solidarity with Palestine continue to hold themselves to a higher standard than Columbia. I cannot stress this enough, a higher standard than Columbia. This university has repeatedly endangered its students by instituting a police state with military-style checkpoints, repressing and isolating students on campus, calling armed riot cops for the largest mass arrests on campus since 1968, and weaponizing food insecurity and houselessness in order to escalate and use as leverage in negotiations. Columbia has forced protesters to escalate by contributing to a genocide while refusing to follow the baseline standards of conduct that make negotiations possible. As this group continues to hold down Hind Hall, we reiterate that Quad's encampment is a peaceful form of protest, as demonstrated over the last 12 days. Students and community members are risking suspension and arrest to end the true state of emergency on campus, Colombia's complicity in the genocide in Gaza. Taking back our own campus is the only and last response to an institution that obeys neither its own so-called rules nor ethical mandates, which is why we began the Gaza Solidarity Encampment. We call on the press and members of the public to hold Colombia accountable for any disproportionate response to students' actions today and late last night. To Colombia's administrators and trustees, please do not incite another Kent or Jackson state by bringing soldiers and police officers with weapons onto our campus. If you do so, students' blood will be on your hands. We are grateful to the brave students and community members who put themselves in harm's way last night to protest Colombia's complicity. Taking over a building is a very small risk compared to the daily resistance of Palestinians in Gaza. As we inch toward Israel's planned invasion of Rafah, which now houses over 1.5 million displaced Palestinians, it is more urgent than ever to fight Colombia's contributions to the ongoing murder, maiming, and forced starvation of millions of Palestinians. We, the students, cannot sit by as our tuition and our labor is used to support mass murder. For the last 2 weeks, students have put their safety, homes, education, and careers in jeopardy, knowing that no universities remain in Gaza due to U.S.-funded bombs. As members of the Imperial Corps, the least we can do is pressure this university to divest. Open the gates, end the occupation, and welcome the free movement of all people, from Palestinians to our neighbors in Harlem, from the river to the sea. We cannot act for our Palestinian comrades, but we see them, we are with them. We are honored to join the mass movement of students, workers, and comrades across the world in the fight for Palestinian liberation. This message comes to you from here, the People's University for a Liberated Palestine. I can now share some updates since last night before taking questions, which again will be very brief. Since last night, Colombia has begun issuing interim suspensions for students they allege were on the West Lawn encampment, and that began early this morning. So just a small piece of misinformation to collect. I know at Colombia's press briefing yesterday they said statements had begun to go out yesterday evening. For what it's worth, as far as we can tell, they began to go out this morning. These suspensions were determined completely arbitrarily, and they have targeted at least 3 Palestinian students, regardless of their presence at the encampment after the university's stated and manufactured deadline of 2 p.m. yesterday. They are targeting our Palestinian students. One of the students who received an interim suspension is Mahmoud Khalil. He is on our negotiation team. Many of you have encountered him here before. And we believe that this is strong evidence that Colombia does not and never has wanted to bargain in good faith. It is suspending us, including our negotiators, in order to get away from good faith negotiations, and it is creating a state of emergency on campus, again, to sabotage negotiations as we attempt to come to a mutually agreeable solution. In addition to targeting Palestinian students for suspension and now expulsion, according to the university's latest statement that students are risking expulsion, it seems that the university has identified students for suspension based on who swiped into Butler Library after 2 p.m. And I clarify this because it means the university is going after people for being in a library on the last day of class, right before the exam period. That is, as far as we can tell, one of their main ways of determining who they are going after for suspensions. We believe this is a perfect example of how Colombia has failed its educational mission and transformed into a police state that reproduces in miniature the surveillance and institutional repression of the people of Palestine abroad, and here are pro-Palestinian students. This is a much smaller version of what takes place at a larger scale every day. As I said, I don't have many details on the status of the autonomous protesters inside Hind Hall. What I do know is that the protesters are acting in solidarity with Quad's 3 demands for divestment, financial transparency, and amnesty. I believe they are also now demanding a commitment from Columbia not to send in NYPD or public safety, which we believe would be a grave risk to the well-being of students on this campus, including the students who are in Hind Hall right now. And they're also asking for a commitment from Columbia for food and water to be brought in. Again, these are basic things that ensure the safety of their own students. I also believe there have been no official negotiations, and no negotiator has yet been appointed on either side. The university, as is no doubt very clear to you all now, is on lockdown and has suspended normal university rules in a severe overreaction to a completely non-violent direct action with massive support from the student body. This means in-person research that does not take place in a very small handful of labs has been interrupted. The university has completely sabotaged its role as a place of research and learning, which we see through the suspension of research in person and through the state of emergency it's declared, and through the risk to the safety and well-being of students on campus. Non-essential staff who had previously been allowed on campus were asked to evacuate beginning around 10 a.m., according to what they've told us. Residential buildings have not yet been evicted, but we know Columbia has been preparing for mass evictions. That's information that was shared with us from members of the University Senate, faculty members, over the weekend. So they have been preparing for mass evictions, which would leave thousands or hundreds of low-income students, especially without housing. And we have no information on whether Columbia plans to pull the trigger on these really despicable mass eviction plans. We are hearing reports that the university, which previously committed not to call the NYPD on peaceful protesters after mass public outrage, is now considering inviting riot police onto campus. Public safety officers are confiscating students' private property from the library, which we were legally permitted entry into until the lockdown. It has made no plans, to our knowledge, for students to retrieve their belongings, and it also hasn't committed not to use this confiscation as an opportunity to further surveil student protesters. Only one dining hall is now open for the entire school, resulting in widespread fears among students of food not being sufficiently available for those on the meal plan. And to try to do damage control, Columbia is now bribing students with $80 gift cards in partnership with Grubhub to pay for food. Those are all the updates I have. I can take some brief questions. Yes.
Hi, Michelle Goldberg from the New York Times. Can you say why negotiations with the encampment broke down?
Yeah, negotiations broke down because the university revealed it simply wasn't willing to negotiate in good faith. They made no compromises whatsoever, and they were completely misleading in their bargaining position. So a concrete example of that is they indicated supposedly an openness to one of our demands for financial transparency, but they misleadingly described it as, they described it as financial transparency, but it was just for direct holdings, which represent a little over 6% of the university's total investments. That's not a compromise. That's completely unacceptable. And besides that, we cannot negotiate in good faith with people who are willing to use our safety as leverage in negotiations. That's just not something that happens in any normal negotiation process. I'm a member of the union here. We wouldn't allow that in bargaining with the union, and so it shouldn't happen now. We've been completely nonviolent, and they've consistently threatened us with riot police, with guns, with calling in the National Guard. Again, these are things that have resulted in the death of students in very analogous situations in the past, and they're using it against us. The university in negotiations.
How many student?
Sorry, I need one at a
Thank
time.
you. How many student demonstrators have been suspended so far or not allowed on campus, and how does this change activism among the encampment and demonstrators?
I don't have the exact numbers right now. I know that it's, if you're asking about like the more recent round of suspensions, I believe it is somewhere around 20 or higher, but don't, despite saying it on in front of mics. Don't quote me on that. That's my best information right now. We'll try to get you that information as soon as we can. I'm sorry, what was the second half of your question?
How does this affect the demonstrations, activism? You have students that are now off campus, not allowed on.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's hard to say for certain because this is an autonomous action and everybody is, acting kind of to the best of their abilities, but we are not in close coordination at all. But that said, from the conversations I've had with other students, the students stand behind the takeover of Hind Hall completely. We saw that in terms of the mass support that came out last night. Students are very motivated to continue to stand behind Quad's 3 demands for divestment, financial transparency, and amnesty. And Colombia has repeatedly shown that it thinks that it can repress people with different political opinions through crackdowns, whether that's through a lockdown, through the threat of violence at the hands of soldiers and militarized police, and time and time again, not only at Columbia but campuses across the country, has backfired. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again.
Was there a vote taken last night at the encampment, for the autonomous group to go in, and how many people would you estimate are in the autonomous group?
I have no information on that.
So there was no vote last night at the encampment?
I am not privy to any information of a vote. I have no further information.
Okay, and then what about, are we going to hear directly from the people in the encampment, and how many people would you estimate? Not in the encampment, are we going to hear directly from the people in Hind Hall, and how many people would you estimate that are there?
I believe it is somewhere around 60 inside, but I'm not totally certain. Again, I cannot stress enough, I don't represent them. I'm here as a member of Quad because our organizing has made it possible to, try to collect updates to the best of our ability, but it's fundamentally limited. And in terms of whether you hear from them, I think that's up to them and up to the university.
We spoke to Mahmoud, and he, so you've lost him as a negotiator. He said he doesn't actually know why he's been suspended at all, because he had an agreement with the university that he could go back and forth in the encampment.
Yeah.
There's another negotiator, I understand, who you've lost. So I'm curious to know, how are you going to get your demands met? Because that suggests that the talks with the university have completely fallen, that they're just not listening to you guys anymore.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is something that's in the university's control. I think anybody who saw their severe overreaction to peaceful protesters on April 17th, where hundreds of us, over 100 of us, were arrested, knows that Columbia is not using any kind of reasonable judgment right now that members of the public, members of the community would share. And so I think they've similarly failed to exercise reasonable judgment in terms of how they conduct themselves to ensure that negotiations can continue in a safe way. Well, that's what I'm saying. They're unable to continue safely right now. And so we would love nothing more than, open, transparent negotiations, but Columbia has not made that possible, and it's squarely their responsibility.
Will you continue protesting? I mean, I assume it's not over for you, for the protest.
The movement will certainly continue, yes. I don't think we have any plans of stopping anytime soon, but in terms of how negotiations will resume, I think that is largely in the hands of the university. It's up to them to commit to not threatening us with food insecurity, evictions, and soldiers and militarized police. That would be a great first step.
Why should the university be obligated to provide food to people who've taken over a building?
Well, first of all, we're saying that they're obligated to provide food to students who pay for a meal plan here.
But you mentioned that there was a request that food and water be brought in, unless I misunderstood.
To allow it to be brought in. I mean, well, I guess it's ultimately a question of what kind of community and obligation Columbia feels it has to its students. Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation or get severely ill, even if they disagree with you? If the answer is no, then you should allow basic, I mean, it's crazy to say because we're on an Ivy League campus, but this is basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Could people please have a glass of water?
But they did put themselves in that, very deliberately, in that situation and in that position. So it seems like you're sort of saying, we want to be revolutionaries, we want to take over this building, now would you please bring us food and water? And
nobody's asking them to bring anything. We're asking them to not violently stop us from bringing in basic humanitarian aid.
They're stopping the delivery of food?
We are looking for a commitment from them that they will not stop it violently.
But they haven't stopped it yet.
I don't know to what extent it has been attempted, but we're looking for a commitment.
And the Grubhub, you mentioned the Grubhub. Is that as a bribe? Is that for sort of students who leave campus, or what is kind of the
yes.
quid pro quo, or do you know how that works?
I also asked about that because I am not on a meal plan and don't know how the Grubhub thing works. So what I was told is that Columbia, through the dining hall program, has a partnership with Grubhub that allows them to allows students to leave campus to go pick up food, and so Columbia's giving students $80 through that program, and students so far who are in dorms can leave and come back, but they're the only people basically who can leave and come back.
What are Quad's next steps, and could any of this impact graduation? Are there any plans to demonstrate at graduation or anything like that you know of?
I don't have any information one way or the other about graduation plans. I think that it's really bizarre to us and perhaps to members of the public to see so much concern over graduation when we're in the middle of a genocide. I think you have to really look at what's important here. The students here stand behind. It's so obvious from just being on campus. We've seen mass support for the protests. Those are the people who are impacted by a potential risk to graduation, and they're saying, no, not in my name. Please, Columbia should not be participating and fueling a genocide because of a graduation ceremony. That's not something they want. It's really up to Columbia to come to a peaceful solution as soon as possible if it wants to preserve graduation, but that's entirely something in their control.
Can you explain the relationship between the students at Pine Hall and the encampment? I know you think it's autonomous, but do they come from the encampment, and how many students are still currently on the encampment?
I don't have that information, I'm sorry.
Are there still students in the encampment?
Yes, as far as I know, there are students both in the encampment at the West Lawn and a new encampment that sprung up, I believe, on Lewison Lawn, which is another lawn last night. I haven't been able to personally verify it because I am not allowed inside, but that's the information I have.
There's three quote-unquote encampments, one on the main lawn, one on the Lewison Lawn, and now one at Pine Hall.
If you want to, I don't know that I would characterize that as an encampment, but yeah, 3 sites of protest, maybe we could say, yeah.
Can you give us a sense of what sort of organisation and planning went into last night?
No, I can't.
And what sort of coordination is between your group and the protesters inside?
I don't have sufficient information to share that right now.
Are you all 3 suspended?
I'm suspended. I don't know about the other people here. We're not all 3 suspended. I am one of the students who was arrested and suspended for peaceful protest on April 18th.
Do you think talks are still going on?
They're not. No, they're not. I mean, the university has suspended and banned from campus one of its 2 negotiators.
Can you talk about the people that are participating in those various actions and their comfort with potentially being expelled as a result of this? What's your sense from the people's varying level of risk?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't represent those students and I'm not inside, so I can't speak to their state of mind right now, but from everything I know from speaking with student protesters on campus, we have all undertaken risk to our safety, our careers, our education, knowing that it shouldn't be that way and it doesn't have to be that way, but it is that way because of Columbia's violence against us and retaliation against us, and occasionally members of the public's retaliation against us. That's risk that we're motivated to take on because this is, it's been over 200 days of genocide, and bodies are being recovered in mass graves in hospitals with their hands behind their back, execution style, or while wearing surgical gowns. This is something that we feel responsible for since our tuition and labor is fueling that, and we are willing to take on an extremely minor amount of risk compared to what the heroic people of Gaza are dealing with every single day. I can take one final question and then I think we should end this.
What kind of support are you getting from the Harlem community?
The Harlem community, I think there are kind of 2 parts of this question. The first is that it's really our obligation as Columbia students to support Harlem and not Harlem's obligation to support Columbia. We are on stolen land from indigenous people and the land of people who were displaced from Harlem. The 1968 protests that resulted in an occupation of what was formerly Hamilton Hall. partly revolved around where we are right now, which is Morningside Park, where Columbia attempted to build a segregated gym that would segregate the wealthy white people from Morningside Heights, where we are now, from Harlem land, and that was one of the sites of contest and reasons for protest in 1968, and that continues to be an object of concern to us now, is that as a white person at Columbia University, an Ivy League college, I benefit every single day from Columbia's displacement of the people of Harlem. I've been here a long time, and I've seen the way that Columbia has pushed out predominantly Black and Hispanic people from the neighborhood here. Often, anyway, don't get me started. I'm passionate about it. I'm upset. So our obligation is to support Harlem, not for Harlem to support us. But that said, none of this is possible without the support of the community in New York, in Harlem, across the world. This is an international movement, and it is also a coalitional movement that has involved many people from neighborhoods like Harlem, because we recognize that we have a shared fight. And when we say things like "from the river to the sea" or "open the gates," it's in recognition of the shared fight that unites people at Columbia University, the people in Palestine, and people in Harlem. That's it. Thank you.
Could you restate your name?
I'm not sharing my name. Thank you.
Oh, how should we refer to you? Is there like a known...
I'm a student at Columbia.
Grad student or undergrad?
I'm a graduate student here.
What are your pronouns?
She, her.
And your age? Major?
I'm not sharing that any more information for my safety. Thank you.
Knicks? Nets?
You can come up here and tell us what you think about the sports. I'm, as you can tell, completely not sport inclined.
Okay, that's something.
Sports ball. All right. Good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Why don't we move? Okay. Because I sent you, sorry. Okay.
Oh, no, I mean, these ones right here, they very much...
I mean, you were right.
There is a connection, but again, as I just shared, we're not currently thinking about focusing on electoral politics. We have our hands full on campus right now, but obviously I can't comment on that. Sorry, the gospel's for me and what? I'd like to confirm that I'm a student. Oh, she's fine. Email from the quad.
Excuse me, guys.
Don't forget that.
Thank you. Joe, may I?
Guys, I want to call something to your attention.
Okay, go ahead.
You wore those jeans, and you wore those jeans, you would be perfectly matching.
Yeah.
Look at that, one lonely student just sitting there.
Yeah, and that's good because it's set up for the graduation.
And also, the alma mater says there's only 3 people on the steps.
3 people what?
There's only 3 people on the main steps over here.
I just like that shot of being alone.
Yeah, that's cool.
What's that, Jeff?
So this one's also.
Oh, okay. That's a great shot of just so far away.
Oh, let's move up.
No, I like it. It's loneliness. It's students doing what students do. My card is running out, but they're roaming, so I'm not worried. Do you want to marry? Do you want to go around this way?
Okay.
Where's our...
What a team! Here's our minder.
We're going to go
hi
around
there.
this way. Thank you for chaperoning us.
Yes.
I think it would be.
Yeah, I just want to get shots for the... if they ever need a package. All right, man.
Let's do it.
Did you lose something?
My Wi-Fi's
Oh.
shut itself off. I'm sending pictures as we're...
Oh, I see. I would have hoped that people are honest. Cool.
Yes.
Thank you, Mary.
Oh no, that's my school. Stop taking pictures.
I want to get a wide shot. Try to get... Yo. What's that, buddy? Yeah, that's not going. Do you think that's going with students? See, 36 years, you know, we're invited by the school. You can try, but...
Yeah, I dealt with this when I was here.
Jeff, I think it's two different factions.
Yes. Yeah, this one, when you came over,
Yeah.
I talked to the negotiator. He told me that this is a separate group, but the group does contain members of this group.
What's that, bud?
Did you see that bus that will have Nuremberg on the horseback?
Jesus Christ. These guys are nuts. I'm good, and it's cold.
Where's our girl?
And it's cold.
Oh, now they're, okay. So I see what they're taking it down there. You see them? Taking everybody away from Hamilton to the gate to Amsterdam.
Who, the press? The
No, I
press?
mean the protesters are.
Oh. Well, we're not going. We're getting B-roll, kiddo.
That's the last one.
Okay. Come here, let's go.
I just wanted to get this construction.
I have no idea. On the stairs?
Might want to get this stuff when it's for graduation.
Yeah. It's the floor. Mary, come here. One shot. We got to still see it. Come here.
Pull this up on a ramp.
No, you could stay there. Mary.
Israeli flags.
What? I feel great, bro. I can't do this another day, but I feel good. Done? I mean, I can't see how much more to get. Okay.
Yeah, no, you're great.
I'm going to stay out of whatever possible shot there might be.
I'll tell you, these students are bold. You know?
Yeah.
They don't understand that the school gave us permission to be here.
While you shoot this, I'm going to go see what's happening over there. Is that okay?
Go where?
I'm going to see what's happening over there while you're over here.
Mayor, did you notice how cowardly they are? They don't want to show their faces.
They already got masks and stuff. Enough. They already too disguised.
Hey, hopefully it's a better shot from the outside, but I'll get it from this perspective as well because they're facing the outside. No, well, I just want, hopefully somebody was smart enough to go on the outside and shoot this.
Just depends on who else they got out there. I'm going to leave this right here.
There is only one solution. Intifada revolution. There is only one solution. Student revolution. There is only one solution. Intifada revolution. There is only one solution. There is only one solution. Student revolution. There is only one solution. Intifada revolution. There is only one solution. Student revolution. Intifada, intifada. Intifada, intifada. Long live intifada. Long live intifada. Intifada, intifada. Intifada, intifada. Globalize the intifada. Globalize the intifada. Intifada, intifada. Intifada, intifada. Long live intifada. Long live the intifada. Intifada, intifada. Intifada, intifada. Globalize the
more time around there? We don't need to worry about Mary. She's right here. Look, we got 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Jeff, you know what that building is designed after, right? But you know what it's designed after, right? The Roman, not the Senate, the temple, right? Wasn't it the temple? How you doing, bud?
I'm fine. I just need you to refrain from getting on the bleachers, but other than that, I'm fine.
You got it. Just getting a wide shot.
You say, what can we do?
All right, kiddo. My media is full, but they're rolling. So, right? Just have them roll. Keep rolling. I don't know what else.
Julian just to let him know.
Okay.
Just so he's aware.
Yeah, but tell them also that we tried to get, B-roll, so if they ever need it for future, they.
So your card is full, right?
Yeah. What do you think that it's the Roman?
So, just quick question. Actually, I just want to let you know. So Jame's cards are full, but as long as we're still rolling, we should be good, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we've got everything that we can possibly think of. Do you have any ideas?
We've shot like
the whole campus.
Well, I mean, we've shot everything. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they have told us it's a hard out at 4. So, I mean, as long as we get
Chef, they went out.
They went outside?
Yeah. Thanks. Have a
Well,
nice.
let's not leave.
Well, then we can't go.
Literally on holiday.
Right? Either they're up at the fence or they went outside. And if they went outside, then we have a crew there. No, we can go that way.
No. Because there's no walkway between
Oh, I
them.
see. Jeff, you still have my phone?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't see him. I mean, I saw him, but they went.
Was that the result?